Hello and welcome to the Tesma YouTube channel. I'm David and today I'll teach you how to make one of these delightful little matcha lattes. To make a matcha latte, you'll need a pouring bowl, a matcha whisk, a chakin, a scoop of some sort, mug of your choice, a sifter, milk or milk alternative and a way to steam it, which we'll get to shortly, a scale, and of course, matcha. Today we're making Komiya, which is a blend from a producer in Uji called Rishoen. We like using this blend for lattes because it holds up really well in milk, but it also works really well straight as Usucha. So first we'll have to prepare the base for the matcha latte. To make the base for your matcha latte, you'll first need to preheat your pouring bowl. Today I'm using a black glazed bowl that we designed in collaboration with Kengo Sugawara in Nara, and I have my kettle set to about 80 degrees Celsius. As always, Chasen tochi, or wetting the bamboo whisk. To learn more about why we do this when we make matcha, please check out our Usucha video over there or in the description. Once you've warmed your whisk, you can swirl the bowl to make sure it's all nicely heated and pour the excess water into your sink or a kensui. Now using your chakin or a cloth, dry the bowl, making sure there's no water at the bottom, as any water will leave clumps in the tea. Next, you'll need a scale to weigh out the amount of matcha we're going to use. I'm using a wide scooped Chashaku today because I'm using a lot of matcha, but you can use a regular Chashaku or even just a normal spoon. For this recipe, we'll need to weigh out 4 grams of matcha. And using your spoon or Chashaku, you can sift that into the pouring bowl. Sifting is a vitally important step as it makes sure that there are no clumps in the matcha. If you're using a bamboo matcha scoop like this one, make sure you clean it off with a dry cloth, as getting the bamboo wet will cause the matcha to stick in the fibers and that makes it very hard to clean. Next, remembering to retare your scale, we'll need to add about 40 milliliters or 2 ounces of 80 degrees Celsius water. We chose this amount because it roughly approximates the amount of liquid in your regular double espresso. So you can sub this recipe in for your milk drinks of choice. Now, instead of the usual frothy Usucha, we'll just be simply mixing the matcha with the water, as having too much foam actually makes it hard to get that really pretty latte out. So a simple circular motion should do the trick. You can use the outside tines of the chasen to scrape and knead the clumps of matcha against the side of the bowl. This way you can break them down and make sure this paste is nice and smooth. Once you're sure that everything's incorporated, you can take this base and pour it into your mug. Now that you've made your matcha base, it's time for milk frothing. When it comes to frothing milk, you have a few options. You can microwave the milk and froth it using a handheld electric frother, or a French press will do the trick. If you have one of these fancy automatic milk frothers, these work too. But today I'll be using something else. One of these bad boys, an espresso machine with a milk steaming wand. Let's get started. First you need to weigh out about 180 milliliters or about 6 ounces of milk or milk alternative. Now, this isn't a proper milk steaming tutorial. There are plenty of fantastic coffee YouTubers out there who have much better technique than I do, but here's the gist. So you'll make sure that your steam wand is fully hot and set to steam. So you want the steam wand to be just under the surface of the milk, so that when you turn the steam on, you're incorporating air into the milk. There should be like a kind of ripping noise as air gets incorporated. You want the steam wand to be slightly off center to create a spiraling motion, and you can tilt the pitcher to encourage this. Once the pitcher begins to feel a little warm to the touch, go ahead and move it up slightly so that the steam wand is under the surface of the milk. At this point you're really trying to incorporate all of that air into the milk to make sure it's nice and even and get this really nice swirling, spiraling, turning vortex motion. Now with your hand on the pitcher, you'll feel it become almost too hot to touch. This is when you know you're done. Turn off the steam, remove the pitcher, and make sure you clean the steam wand and give it a little purge. That way no milk gets stuck inside and no milk gets stuck to the steam wand. If there's some big bubbles on the surface of the milk, you can give it a little swirl or a tap on the table to pop them and make sure everything is nice and even and silky and smooth. The goal here is to have the texture of wet paint. Now to pour some very basic latte art, you'll pour the base first from a high angle, mixing the milk into the matcha. Then you bring the pitcher close to the surface of the cup and sort of push the designs across the surface and pull the pitcher up as you draw through, creating that line down the middle. And there you have a very basic and not very well executed stacked tulip. And there you have it, a matcha latte. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And as always, I'll leave the links to the tea and teaware used in the video in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.